and welcome to the Cabinet meeting. Can I just check that we are now recording? Thank you. Good morning, and good morning to everyone who's joined us for this Cabinet meeting this morning. May I begin with apologies for absence, please? Christian and Bar, thank you. And I think everyone else is here instead of her, apart from her. Sorry. We move on to the minutes of the meeting, which you've all had, that took place on the 13th of July, and they are all there for your information. I'm going to assume that you are happy with me signing these, unless you tell me otherwise now, and I'll sign them later. Everyone happy? I think we just probably need to vote on that. Proposed by Councillor Patterson and seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. Thank you. So the next one is disclosure of members' interests. Are there any items appearing in the agenda today that members would like to highlight that, in which they may have an interest? No? Okay, thank you very much. So may we then move on to number 4, which is a report of the Executive Director of Adult Social Care and Children's Services about the dissolution of the Council's partnership with Northumbria Healthcare. Kath McAvoy-Carr.
Yes. Context.
Found you.
So, thank you, through yourself, Chair. I'm just going to give a brief update as to the background to the partnership arrangements, which I know some of you will be very familiar with, and then Kath will just run through the arrangements. We did a detailed presentation yesterday to the Scrutiny Committee, and we have some feedback from there too. So really, I just wanted to set out that, as members will be aware, we, since the early 2000s, have worked in very effective NHS partnerships. For the first 10 or so years, we were in partnership arrangements with the wider commissioning system. So that meant originally the entity of the Care Trust was a standalone organisation, and through a number of NHS restructures and changes, the partner that we have worked with has changed over time. So late 1990s to early 2000s, we were a care trust, an organisation in itself, which managed all of the community adult social care and health arrangements. From about 2006 through to 2011, we were in a formal partnership arrangement with North of Tyne Commissioning. So that was a North of Tyne covering the 3 local authority areas, commissioning function based from Bevan House in Northumberland. And when I first commenced my joint role, that's where we worked from the health perspective, commissioning and organising services for the communities of Northumberland. In 2011, following a further restructure of the NHS centrally, all commissioning organisations were asked to divest themselves of community health services. Obviously, the Council's adult social care functions and wider partnerships have always been statutory functions of the Council, but we at that time had a detailed review, which actually one or two of the members present here today were involved with in terms of chairing some of that work. And following that detailed review, it was agreed that our adult social care functions would transfer as part of a wider NHS transfer in Northumberland into Northumbria Healthcare. So since that time, we have been part of a long-standing partnership now with the Trust. We did at that time in 2011 acknowledge that the Trust, being mainly a bed-based organisation, wasn't the absolute partner because of those issues, but we agreed that it was in the best interests at that time for us to continue to work together as long as the Council maintained responsibilities for its adult social care functions. Over time, and following the changes where public health arrangements were also transferred to councils from the wider NHS, we then in 2018 extended that partnership agreement with the Trust to cover public health delivery responsibilities too. During the period, obviously, we have reviewed regularly, generally on a 3-year basis, but in 2018-19, we did agree 2-year arrangements and that we would have a review further down the line. We then had the COVID pandemic, obviously, and the review arrangements have been extended. So I'll just hand over to Kath in terms of taking you through a little bit more detail of the service envelope and also the arrangements for future integration. Thank you.
To be useful to provide an overview of the services that are involved, because there's been a lot of crackling in the system around what that might entail and what those issues might relate to. So in terms of the biggest area is adult social care, and that involves those social workers and support workers who are involved in the case management of some of the complex cases, some of the complex care packages that we have in place for some of our residents. Strategic safeguarding, which kind of speaks for itself, but that is the arrangements around our Safeguarding Adults Board, how we manage safeguarding issues that arise from any of our providers, and also helping in terms of the policies and processes that manage and help support those vulnerable adults within our communities. The approved mental health team, who deal with sectioning or are involved in supporting those people with mental health issues. Our emergency duty team, which kind of speaks for itself. The risk and independence team, self-directed support around direct payments and personal budgets, and our Northumberland One Call. Now, we have been involved in conversations around the TUPE process of those staff and have come to an agreement about which staff need to transfer to the council and which of those will remain with the trust. And following that, we've developed a kind of a new model of care and support. And that new model really is aligned more closely to our primary care networks, and there was a pilot that was undertaken to look at how that worked, and our primary care networks really like that close liaison and close alignment, and also looking at how we might work more closely with our mental health services. We are looking to adapt closer links to children's services and other council and external services to help develop that more family focused or whole family approach that it can be very beneficial in a number of cases. And we're also looking to see how we can develop closer links to our Northumberland communities together and community sector in order to provide services moving forward. Following on from that, the second area is our hospital discharge and disablement team, and hospital discharge and reablement team, and that involves safe and appropriately timed discharges from hospital, reablement to help our residents recover their independence once they have been discharged from hospital, or for those who are in our community who may need some assistance and some support in relation to developing skills to be maintained in their own home. Our home safe team, our short-term support services that are involved in these processes, and occupational therapists as well as physiotherapists. And again, we've followed the TUPE process and identified which staff remain with us and which staff remain in the within the trust, and we've developed something called a reset model. And I know we all love an acronym, and reset, but reset really kind of describes what that might look like, and that is recovery. The RE stands for recovery, which is looking at short-term interventions following an illness, injury, or support on discharge from hospital. Support to learn or relearn skills to carry out daily tasks and/or social reintegration. Enable, which is enabling residents to do re-achieve some of their independence and encourage that further independence where possible. And this will involve a dedicated team, including occupational health, occupational therapists, social workers, and reablement and support staff. In connection to some of the other services, I'm sure some of you will be aware that we have something called our continuing healthcare service, which is funded by the Northumberland CCG, and those arrangements will remain interim whilst the CCG transfers to the integrated care system. Our learning disability and community nurses, they are also funded by CCG, and there is a planned review to look at how they can be integrated within the services within social care and help provide support to those with a learning disability. And that will involve both the Trust and also CNTW, which is our mental health trust covering Northumberland, Cumbria and Tyne and Wear. The Joint Equipment Loan Service, which provides disability equipment and minor adaptations, which is jointly funded by ourselves and the CCG, provides children's equipment as well as adults equipment. There is a planned transfer of that service into the County Council, but it will continue to be integrated, it will continue to offer integrated services. And then in terms of the public health services, we have the Integrated Wellbeing Service, which is health trainers, advocates, deals with smoking cessation, etc. There's a natural relationship with community focus work, and that service will transfer to the council. It's already co-located in County Hall, and plans are being developed to look at the future models of delivery within that service. Sexual health is another contract from Public Health, and that wasn't part of the Section 75 partnership agreement, so that contract has been extended for a year, and we are looking at potential options around a regional approach to sexual health services. That just leaves the 0 to 19 public health services, which covers health visitors and school nurses, but not maternity services. And as you will see from the report, our preferred option is a partnership approach, which will provide greater flexibility around the services and the integration of those services within children's services, and help us to work with, help us to develop that integration offer in a much more open and transparent way. So I'm hoping that you are aware that there's ongoing consultation in relation to the Section 75 potential option of us partnering with Harrogate District Foundation Trust. They deliver 0 to 19 services in 6 other local authorities in the region: Sunderland, Gateshead, Middlesbrough, Durham, Darlington and Stockton, and also with another area outside of our region. And we are looking at the potential for, in the future, although the model will remain the same initially, we're looking at the potential for additional investment and expansion moving forward. So I don't have anything more to say in relation to that, but I'm happy to take any questions should anybody have any issues they want to raise.
Good, thank you very much, Kath. Are there any questions to Kath or Daljit on this? I think, Wendy, were you going to raise a point about the length of term?
Yes, I was. I must remember to turn that on, sorry. I just wondered about the contract going forward with Harrogate and District NHS Foundation Trust. How will that be written? Will it be a 6-month sort of severance or a year's severance? How will that work?
So it is a partnership arrangement, and the whole point of the partnership arrangement, or the proposal is a partnership arrangement. The whole point of that is that we're not into a contract in any way, shape or form, which allows us to work a little bit more flexibly. Within the partnership arrangement, though, we will have some opportunities for us to be able to, or for ourselves and for Harrogate, should we need to exit that arrangement. And I think we are looking at a year, 12-month option to come out of that, because what we don't want to be in is in a similar position that we are in currently, where we've got very little time to look at what our alternative options are. So I think we think that a year is probably a better option for us.
Absolutely, that's fine. I mean, what I would like to say is what's vital is that we ensure that we have a seamless delivery of these services to enable our residents to continue to be fully supported and valued. That's the main thing out of everything.
Thank you. Jeff?
With regard to the 0 to 19, are we confident that what we are entering into with the new person is going to be as good as we had with the old care trust? I've seen comments that the old care trust, I think, got what it was, outstanding, and Harrogate got a good mark, but not quite as good. Are we totally convinced, and can I be assured that will be the new opportunities that you talked about will be for the good of Northumberland?
So, a couple of issues about that. You are right, Harrogate is good in terms of their CQC ratings, and Northumbria is outstanding. Those ratings were both from 5 years ago, so there will be potential changes to those ratings moving forward when they are CQC inspected again. I think we undertook some significant due diligence in terms of having conversations with our regional counterparts, both at a Director of Public Health level, but also at a Director of Children's Services level, to try and understand what the offer was and how well they worked with Harrogate in relation to the delivery of services. And all of those organisations are extremely positive about the quality of service that is offered within those areas. And then the other thing to mention is actually the staffing within those services is not going to change. So the same staff will be delivering those services. So we would not expect any significant shift in the quality of services that is offered. And hopefully we'll enhance that offer by bringing in some new ideas and some refreshed areas that we might be able to learn from some of the good practice elsewhere within the region.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that answer. Richard Wearmouth.
Thank you, Leader. It's not a question for officers, but I take it that we can pass some comment and so on at this stage, because I don't see an awful lot of hands going up. I mean, I just want to sort of repeat some comments that I've made before the meeting, that really there's been some documentation that's come in marked confidential, so I won't identify or discuss what's addressed in those documents. We've had some further feedback from officers this morning before the meeting. I mean, I do just need to, for the record, sort of point to the fact that I really haven't had time to catch up with that. In reading the report, I don't think necessarily that in a lot of the recommendations that we have here, it's to note and to various things that are going on, and that there's not necessarily a significant amount of decision making in this paper. But nonetheless, I would have appreciated a little bit more time to get to grips with some of the background that has come to pass on this. And so when it comes to voting on this, my preference would have been for a very, very short delay, so that we could have had a little bit more time on that. And so whilst I won't be voting against the recommendations, I will be abstaining in voting, just so I could, because that's the time that I would have liked. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. I mean, I'm very keen that we press ahead and keep going with this. We are in the situation now where we have to make progress for the sake of the people that we've just been talking about, patients and staff. I think the finances and the financial information that scrutiny have asked for is the right thing to do. They've also raised about the need to have updates early in 2022, and I think absolutely correct. I think you'd all agree with that as well. But I think the main thing they were talking about yesterday, and I'm grateful for their comments, was around the reassurance that staff would not be disadvantaged in any way, and that there would be no detrimental change to the operational management of any services. And I know that Kath McAvoy-Carr and Wendy Patterson, as a Cabinet member, will keep us notified straight away if there is anything that they're concerned about. But I think we should just press ahead now for the sake of the people that we are wanting to look after here. So, with that, can I ask for a proposer for these recommendations that you have in front of you? Proposed by Councillor Patterson and seconded by Councillor Horncastle. Thank you very much. Can I have a show of hands, please, of those in favour first? Those against? And those abstaining? Lovely. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. And thanks again to Scrutiny for their work on this. Commissioning and Finance. There are some new capital proposals here. I'm wondering if Rick O'Farrell, who is the Executive Director, might like to take these two, and then Cabinet members responsible may want to add their comments.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Neil Bradley's on leave, so he's asked me to pick these up for him.
Thank you.
There's two projects in front of you, Chair, and in front of members, quite simple. The first one is the creation of a new play area at Millburn Park in New Biggin. This has been looked at by the Capital Strategy Group. We're recommending a grant of £50,000 towards the total cost of £150,000. The town council itself is providing the other £100,000. It's a good little project. It's the first phase of some wider works. We're not being asked at the moment to fund the wider works. The town council looking at how to fund those.
Thank you very much. John, did you want to add anything?
Yes, I will just add a little bit to that. You know, it's not just a play area, it's actually a very high quality play area. And New Biggin by the Sea Town Council have been working in partnership with New Biggin Community Ventures and New Biggin Development Trust on a much larger scheme to enhance the whole area. As Rick said, you know, this is a 50,000 contribution towards the first phase, which is a total of 150,000. It has a lot of community support. They went out to consultation, and I think 76% of the respondents were supportive of a destination play area for New Biggin, and actually 61% were supportive of it being at Millburn Park. This area at the moment where it's going to be placed or provided is, well, not in the best kept it's a bit of rough ground, and you know, the other thing is that it will enhance the area greatly, and the maintenance of it will not be our responsibility, but that of New Biggin Town Council. So I fully endorse it.
Thank you very much, John. Are you all... Well, we'll take the second one and then we'll take them both together. Thank you.
Okay, Chair. The second project relates to Tynedale House, the residential service facility in Blythe. There's recently been a survey carried out, and a small number of the fire doors don't fit properly, to put it simply, and don't meet current standards. So we're proposing to do a replacement of all 150 doors throughout the facility in one go to bring it up to necessary standards, and the funding for that will be 373,250 pounds, Chair. The funding will come from the Adult Services Community Capacity Grant. It's not separately identified in the MTFP.
Right. Any comments from any members apart from the rather high cost of these? Do we know why they're so expensive? No.
I couldn't comment, Chair. I can find out, but fire doors, they'll have to strip out the old frames, put new frames in, put new fire doors in. It doesn't seem that expensive to me, to be perfectly frank.
Okay, I'm sure it went through the full procurement process, though.
It will have done.
Yes. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so can we take those two, please, together? Proposed by Councillor Watson, seconded by Councillor Wojciech. No, you mustn't do this, because I can't do. I can't do the second name. I can do the first one only. Seconded by Councillor Horncastle. All in favour, please show. That seems to be unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Right. That then moves us on to the final part of this meeting, which is around the moving to closed session. Because there is no urgent business that I have, and I haven't been informed of any, so could a member very kindly put forward the motion that we need to have to allow us to go into closed session? Thank you very much. Proposed by John Riddle and seconded by Councillor Watson. So are you all in favour that we move into closed session? Please show. Yep. Okay, we will do that. Thank you.